My review of the Byrds album, Byrds. It was released in 1973 and produced by David Crosby. So this video is a couple days late coming out. I got sick on Sunday and kind of lost my voice and haven't been feeling well like all week, but I'm finally starting to get my voice back enough that I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this because I really wanted to get it done and not have to do my ranking video and this review on the same night. Yeah, this album was the last Byrds album I got of the studio albums. I got a CD first, but I didn't get that out. I just got the vinyl out because it's bigger and it's got the gatefold, which is kind of cool. But I got this later, I think like a year or two ago. So this album, they get back together. I think they were maybe like doing this while the other version of the Byrds was kind of still out touring. I'm not really sure like the timeline on it, but they original 5 get back together and do this album. Supposedly, I guess there's also talk of some other people being on here. I have no idea really. Wikipedia, if that's reliable, which who knows. Only listed one song as having some other people on it, which I think was a different drummer and a different bass player. But I don't know, this album, it doesn't. I would say it's probably a strong contender for my least favorite Byrds album. I don't want to say if it is or not and give that away for my ranking next week, but I would say that this album's definitely my least listened to of the Byrds albums. Like currently, it's just I don't think it's a bad album though. I don't think this band has any bad albums. I'm probably like one of the only people to think that, because I know this album gets a lot of hate, at least compared to some of the other albums. I've seen this one in Bird Maniacs, I think, get the most hate. And yeah, I don't know. This album, I can see like why people don't like it. It doesn't really sound anything like the Byrds. It's, the original 5 getting back together, and they make this album that sounds nothing like anything they ever did when they were originally together. Like there's not even a song on here that sounds anything like that. So I think a lot of people have a hard time with it with that. Some of the guys didn't have their best material on this, which I guess I'll talk about more when I get into the songs. It's kind of a weird, uneven album. It doesn't really sound anything like they did. The album opens with Full Circle, song by Gene Clark, and I think it's a really strong opener. Got a really good vocal from Gene, some cool mandolin probably from Hillman. Yeah, I think it's a really strong, really catchy opener. There is a solo Gene version of the same song on, I think, Roadmaster, and I have to say I like that version a little bit better than this version, but I did hear that version first, so that might be why. But really strong opening track, so it gets off to a good start. Second track, Sweet Mary, McGuinn Levy track, and this is another one I like a lot. It's not like all the McGuinn Levy tracks are like amongst my favorite stuff that he ever wrote, and this isn't like one of my top ones of those songs, but it's I think it's pretty good still. I like McGuinn's vocal on it. It's got this kind of, it's like a slow acoustic song. It's got this kind of dark atmosphere to it. I think it's cool, but it sounds nothing like the Byrds original stuff, because it's all acoustic and stuff like that, and they didn't usually do that. Even though this is one of the McGuinn sung songs, which I think is one of the reasons why this album doesn't sound very much like the Byrds, is there's just like not a huge presence for McGuinn on here. He was always so important to every other album, and then eventually became the Byrds. He sings every song on Dr. Byrds and Mr. Hyde. He's the only original guy left. So he always had like such a strong presence on Byrds albums, whether it's through his vocals or guitar playing. But here he's just like invisible as a guitarist almost, and he only gets 2 songs to sing on. So that kind of doesn't help this album sound anything like a Byrds album. The third track, Changing Heart, another Gene Clark song. that I really like. This one is um, probably my favorite song on the album. It might be tied with another one. It's not one that I initially like got into really fast, but it's really grown on me. It's a catchy song. I really like Gene's vocal on it. The fourth track, For Free, Joni Mitchell cover sung by David Crosby. This one took me a long time to get into. Kind of, I didn't really like it at first. I think I might not even have liked it the last time I reviewed this. I don't remember. But it's grown on me a lot. I really like the performance instrumentally, whoever's playing, and I like Crosby's vocal too. And I think it's a good song. So that one's now one that I like quite a bit. The fifth track, Born to Rock and Roll, another McGuinn song, and the last one that he gets the lead vocal on the album. And this is a bad song. Roger recorded it 3 different times. One of the times wasn't on like an official album, but it is on the bonus tracks or farther along. So this would have been the first time that it got released. And then he did it again on one of his solo albums. I don't remember which one. So I think he obviously thought that this was a good song. It's not really. I don't hate it as much as most people do, though. I kind of enjoy it for what it is. Which also, I real quick want to kind of go into a side tangent of Hillman has said before that he didn't think that anybody but I think Gene Clark brought their strongest songs to the album because they were trying to keep other stuff for like their solo albums that they had going on, or keep their stronger stuff for the solo albums because they didn't know how this was going to work out. But I don't know if I would say that for McGuinn because, I mean, all of his, like the McGuinn-Levy songs are amongst his, like, better songs. So I think him including Sweet Mary kind of shows that he thought it was good. And Born to Rock and Roll, I mean, he recorded it 3 times. If you don't think a song's good, at least at the time, I don't think he tried it 3 times, unless maybe he was just really desperate for material. But I think an argument can be made that maybe he actually thought he had some good songs here. But anyway, well, I mean, he definitely did with Sweet Mary, but this one is kind of iffy. So what I do like about this song, I like the verses, and I like McGuinn's vocal on it a lot. I like the band's performance, but the chorus of this song is for me like the really weak part of the song. Like I like the verses fine, but as soon as it gets to the chorus, it's kind of seems like kind of just a weak, kind of lazy chorus. So I think that's kind of what kills the song for me. Well, not really kills. Like it's one of the songs like America's Great Great National Pastime or whatever that Skip Batten song is. One of those songs that I can listen to it and enjoy it, but still not really think it's a good song. The 6th track, Things Will Be Better, Hillman track, and this one kind of sounds a little more Byrdsy because it's electric, or it's got electric stuff. It's kind of catchy. I like Hillman's voice on it, but at the same time, like he definitely I think did kind of contribute songs that he thought were weaker because I think Hillman is a really great songwriter at times, and these songs on here aren't like anywhere near his best stuff. Like I don't think that if I was making like a ranking of his songs that I know these would be like nowhere near the top. At the same time, like I don't think this one's horrible or anything. Just like kind of insubstantial, not like super memorable. The 6th track, Cowgirl in the Sand. This one, Neil Young cover. This is the one that apparently has the different drummer and different bass player on it, according to Wikipedia. And it's sung by Gene Clark. Kind of weird that they give the covers to Gene to sing and not McGuinn, because like McGuinn, I guess they were doing Neil Young because they considered Neil Young like the best songwriter of the time, where McGuinn had been the best, or I mean, not McGuinn, Dylan had been the songwriter of like the 60s, and now they're like, well, that was Dylan's time, now it's Neil Young's kind of deal, I guess is where they were going with doing the Neil Young covers. So it would have kind of made more sense, I guess, to have McGuinn do it since he used to sing the covers, but they have Gene Clark do it. And I mean, I'm not complaining because I love Gene Clark's voice. He's probably my favorite singer of the original five. And I think he does a really good job here. But it does, like I said, make it sound less Byrdsy that there's not more McGuinn vocals. 7-track Long Live the King. Another David Crosby track. This one, like, it took a long time to grow on me. I think all Crosby songs take a long time to grow on me. But I still, like, I really like most of this song, but that, like, Humpty Dumpty part is just so cheesy, and that's the one part of the song, like, if I could just cut that, the rest of the song would be perfect. So yeah, one that's really grown on me, but it just has that one little kind of cheesy, cringy part. The 8th track, Borrowing Time, another Hillman one. This is my least favorite track on the album. Really, like, the only thing this one's got going for it's the mandolin. It's, I don't know. It's kind of was an irritating track, and like the melody, and I don't love his vocal on it. Really, just some kind of like cool mandolin is the best thing about it. The 9th track, Laughing. Another Crosby song. This one really took me a long time to get into. It's the longest song on the album. Not really that long. It's like 5 minutes, but it seemed like a long time when I first started listening to this album. Now it's grown on me more, and I enjoy it. I actually think I like most of Long Live the King better. If it just didn't have the Humpty Dumpty part, but like this one has grown on me a lot, and I enjoy it. I like his vocal, like the way they're playing. So a pretty strong track. I guess that originally Crosby had said that it was intended for the Byrds back before they fired him, and then he'd done it on a solo album, and he wanted to do it with them on this reunion since it had been originally intended for the band. And I think that this would have been a really cool song to hear around that time with like the style production they were using and the instrumentation and the kind of experimental stuff they were doing. I think it would have sounded like a lot cooler back then than it does on here, especially the way McGuinn's been like minimized as a guitarist. And then the 10th and final track, See the Sky, About Terrain, is a Neil Young song. This one, once again, sung by Gene Clark, who I think does a great job here. I love his vocal on it. And this is probably the other one that's like tied for my favorite track. Really strong closer, and a definite highlight of the album for me. So yeah, Byrds, not at all the best Byrds album, but I don't think it's as bad as what some people would say. I don't know. It's kind of it's not the worst way they could have gone out, I don't think. And I do think that overall it's an enjoyable album, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't really sound like the band enough. It doesn't, it just kind of sounds like all the guys doing their own solo tracks, like one of those kind of albums. It doesn't really sound like a unified, creative Byrds album. And I don't know, just the lack of McGuinn and his Rickenbacker on it just really kind of holds it back. So definitely don't start here with the band. I would listen to this after you've listened to all their other stuff. But still not a bad album, just not their best.